Hi YouTube, Back to Basics Gal here. Today I'm going to share with you how the National Center for Home Food Preservation recommends that we can freeze eggs. I prefer this method over the using lime, slaked lime to preserve eggs. I like to give my hens a break over the winter time and not add the addition of light in the coop so that they keep laying. I like to give them a break over the winter so they, act naturally and shut down sort of over the winter. I will get a few eggs, but not as many as I normally would in the summer. I take these molds. These are Biba baby food molds. I like these because they're deep enough. You have to make sure that they hold 3 tablespoons, and they have a lid that locks in place. You can use really any kind of mold. I prefer the ones with lids, like even these would work. They have they're silicone, so they'll pop out easy, but you could use ice cube trays too. They don't need to be round or anything. But whatever kind of mold that will hold 3 tablespoons is what you're looking for. 3 tablespoons of egg mixture is equal to 1 egg. Anyway, you can also strain the eggs once you crack them on a plate. You want to do that so that you can see if there's any debris, eggshell in the eggs. And this also helps you not incorporate too much air into the egg mix. You want to limit the amount of air you put into the eggs when you're going to freeze them. But after you get this done, you can put these through a sieve to or a colander to improve the uniformity of the eggs. I don't do that. I did it once. It took way too long, in my opinion, to get through a sieve. I don't mind taking the eggs out the day before and putting them in the refrigerator before I'm going to use them. I've not had any issues whatsoever doing it that way. Once you get all your eggs broken down, and I do 2 at a time so that I don't make too big of a mess, I dump them into a measuring cup, and the reason I do that is because once you have 1 cup of egg, you have to add 1 teaspoon of salt. And what that does is that improves the graininess of the eggs, because once they are frozen, so just make sure you have a cup and then add your teaspoon of salt, and you won't have graininess of the yolks. So I had already measured with the measuring cup. I measured 3 tablespoons, so I know how much of the egg mixture I need to put into the cavity, an approximation of what 3 tablespoons would be in the mold. So I'm going to finish filling up the 7 cavities that I have here in this mold, and then I'll work on the other 7. So I did take out 14 eggs. I'm adding the salt here. And I'll give it a quick stir, and then I'll dump that into the mold here. And believe it or not, the salt really does help with the graininess. I didn't do it on my first try with preserving frozen eggs, and you could definitely tell the difference when you use them for scrambled eggs. You could tell the difference. Other than that, with the salt, that seemed to have improved the consistency when you use these a lot. So I don't forget the salt anymore. And I just wipe off the mold before I put the lid on it. Just like in canning, you don't want to have any egg mixture on your lid. These lids snap right on and lock. And these molds really stack well in the freezer too. That's another reason I like these molds so well. Perfect size for freezing and storing eggs. So anytime you find a sale, if you don't have your own hens, this would be a great way to take advantage of sales of eggs. And then I'm just going to show you that I do measure the first mold, and I did not have enough in there. There, that's about where I was at on the last mold, so that's where they should all be, approximately right at that level. So once you do that, then you fill the remaining cavities of your mold and wipe off the top for any ooze you have and put it in the freezer. Once you freeze it, then you can package it into a freezer-proof bag and store it in your freezer and use it as you need it over the winter time. It's a great way to take advantage of sales and to use up your excess eggs. You can also freeze your egg yolks and your eggs whites separately as well. I'll be doing that next week. So I'll bring you back and do another video on that because it is a little bit of a different procedure. But the big deal is to get the right molds and make sure you measure them out and get your salt, and then loosen them up out of the mold, store them in a freezer safe bag, and you'll be good to go. It's a great way to take advantage of having extra eggs and not wasting, and being able to utilize the gifts from your hens. And here's what they look like when they're frozen. I have bags of these. Anyway, this is Back to Basics Gal. Thanks so much for stopping by.